Are you someone who would love to get paid more or have a more feasible work schedule? Well, keep listening as we delve into the details of how one physician was able to make it all happen. Hello, and welcome to the Wealth Minded MD podcast with your money best friends. I'm Dr. Alicia Taylor.
And I'm Dr. Brittany Halford.
And of course, we are here to help you build wealth and make good money decisions so you can create the life you desire with more control over your time.
Alicia, can we talk about one of the most important money moves we've made as doctors? And I don't know about you, but for me, when I think about this, it's actually insurance. Yes, I know it's not sexy, but it is absolutely essential, especially disability insurance.
Facts. I got mine right after med school, before residency even started. And let me tell you, Prati Botto at PKA Insurance Group made the whole process so smooth. He actually cared, broke down everything, explained the fine print, and got me the best policy for the best price.
And what I love is that he treats everyone like that residents, attendings, even docs on visas. He literally got you. He's super responsive, super knowledgeable. And if there's a better deal out there, he will tell you.
Oh, and if you're healthy, you could get approved for up to 10 million in life insurance. So not just disability insurance in only 5 minutes. No labs, no hassle.
So if you're serious about protecting your income and your family, call 1-800-258-1018.
Or email pradeep at pkainsurance.com.
All right, Alicia. Well, tell us, where are you? What are you doing? Give us an update.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you asked. Today, actually, I gave a lecture or a didactic session, workshop, whatever you want to call it, to the pediatric residents. I am not a pediatrician, but oftentimes I'm asked to speak for residency organizations or physician groups on a variety of different topics. And this topic today was on the topic of negotiation and contracts. And so it's kind of going over these are the different things that you want to look for in a contract, and these are the things that you want to be sure to negotiate. And it was really interesting because one, they seemed really interested in what I was saying. I think anytime I give a talk on money and getting what you want and obtaining your ideal job, people get really jazzed up about it. They were interrupting me and asking questions, which I loved, which kind of shows me that they were engaged. And when I finished, they said, this was so helpful. We don't get taught this information. And it really made me reflect on the fact that, I come from a finance background, but I think that a lot of physicians who don't come from that similar background, they don't learn negotiation. It's almost like as physicians, we are taught to be grateful that we have the ability to work as physicians. And it's like the topic of money is really taboo, especially when it comes to negotiating and advocating for yourself. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Brittany, but it seems like you've also had that experience where a lot of people don't have a lot of expertise or competence in their ability to negotiate, and they end up not negotiating at all because it's something that they were never taught.
Alicia, that's right. For a lot of us, we're just grinding it out in academia. We just feel like, oh, well, this is what I get paid. It's not about the money. It's about my purpose. Well, you can get paid and do your purpose. So I love that you were there encouraging the pediatric residents. I'm curious, what was one of the most highly requested questions or something that a lot of people were like, oh, yeah, big takeaways? Like anything to share from your presentation?
Yeah. One of the things that we talked about, which I think I might have shared before on the podcast, you have to know what you want if you're going to create an ideal job. I think sometimes, especially people leaving residency, they think, oh, I just have to pick from the list of jobs or the opportunities that are available to me. And we're not necessarily taught to go out and create it. And I think if you're going to go out and create what we call an ideal job, or what I call, an ideal job, you have to know what that ideal job looks like for you. And so we spent a good amount of time kind of talking through, okay, what are the things you want in a job? What are the intangibles? What is it that you want from a compensation standpoint? But also what kind of practice would you need to have in order to be able to stay at that practice long term? What kind of payer mix? What kind of patient panel? What kind of delivery model do you want to have? What kind of schedule do you want to work? What kind of location do you want to be in? And just really helping them think through some of these things. Because again, how do you know to advocate for something that you haven't really clarified what it is yet? And so just really clarifying what is it that you want? And then we also spent some time talking about how do you get that? Again, when you're younger, it's like this mind frame of you have to accept what's given to you. And I just don't subscribe to that mindset. And sometimes you got to go out and get it. It may not be posted in a job form. It may not be one of those millions of spam texts that we all get offering us jobs. And it may not be the cookie cutter contract that you're used to your colleagues getting. It may be you putting in some work and advocating for yourself. We spent some time talking about how, I do a little bit of cold call emailing and how I contact healthcare organizations and how I figure out how to speak to the doctor or the person in charge and ask them about job opportunities that may not even be listed or posted yet. So that was one, is kind of like, how do you find this ideal job? And we kind of answered that question with, first, you got to know what ideal means to you. What is ideal to you may look different than what ideal is to me. And then how to go out and get it. And then, of course, how to advocate for it. I think learning the art of negotiation and learning how to clearly articulate your value and negotiate for what you want is a skill, because a lot of people know what they want, but they may not know how to get it. And so those are some of the things that I think we really spent some time talking about. And I think it's something that a lot of physicians could also benefit from.
I love that. You are essentially saying, know what you want and then create it, right? Create it and don't hold back to say, oh, it doesn't exist yet. Well, it's going to exist after you ask for it and then you make it happen. And oftentimes we undervalue ourselves and how much we're actually bringing to the table. And we close the door before we even try. So, one of the things that I like to say to people is don't close your own door, ask for it, because my mother would say closed mouths don't get fed, meaning that if if you don't ask for it, then they're not going to be able to fulfill it because no one can read your mind. So I love that you communicate that in a more effective way than all of my cliche anecdotes and phrases that are passed down, but they got a lot of wisdom. There's a lot of wisdom in those old adages. Alicia, it just takes me to what we're going to talk about in this episode, and our client gets to share her wins, her victories with the audience. But she didn't even think that this was possible for her. She didn't have the confidence to negotiate. She didn't have the confidence to ask for equal compensation and just to know that, hey, what I'm asking for is not too much. So thank you for planting those seeds. I hope that one or two people actually remember that and they go full force into their negotiation, because it can be life changing. The biggest threat to our income is burnout. So ask for what you want, ask for what you need. And we talk a lot about money, but we do that because we want you to make good money decisions that present opportunities to give you options, but also to create wellness. And I love that you have empowered them to think about what they actually desire, the life that they want to create, and to not wait for someone to give it to them.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. We talked through some of those mind shift things, talking about, just because you're a newer physician, that doesn't mean that you should get paid less, right? You submit the same billing codes that I submit. And so don't let people sort of bamboozle you into thinking that you should accept less. Oftentimes, people don't think it's worth it to negotiate because they've heard that their contract might be standard. Well, they can always add an addendum. Just really thinking through some of these mind shift things, like it is worth it to negotiate. You can have them change things. That baseline, you can at least better understand what you're signing. We're physicians. Most physicians are paid 300K a year, if not more. If you plan on having a long career over 10, 20, 30 years, that's going to be millions of dollars at stake. This is $1 million contract. And so you want to make sure that you're understanding this thing and that you're negotiating things in your favor. So thanks for that. I think a lot of physicians could benefit from it. And as you mentioned, it really kind of underscores the importance of this. And I think it kind of sets the stage for what we're about to talk about right now, our financial focus for this episode, which is on negotiation and kind of sharing the wins from one of the people that we had the privilege of working with.
Are you ready to negotiate like a boss? Let's be real. Most employees don't negotiate, but their employers expect them to. That means you're literally leaving money, benefits, and flexibility on the table.
But not anymore. Just as our client, after going through the Negotiate Like a Boss Accelerator, she landed a big salary increase, the schedule she actually wanted, and more time to spend with her family and pursue her passion.
You'll get proven scripts and tools to negotiate with clarity and confidence, live hot seat coaching to practice and perfect your pitch, and real time feedback so you're not guessing, you're growing.
Because, like I always say, I work better when I'm paid well. Don't wait. Procrastination is a pricey mistake.
Enroll in Negotiate Like a Boss Accelerator today. Click the link in the show notes. This opportunity will not be around forever.
As physicians, one of the most important things that we can do is make sure that we secure our income. because a lot of our financial plans are contingent on our high doctor income. One of the things that you will need to do is make sure that you get long-term disability insurance.
Now, Pradeep and his team at PKA Insurance Group have a reputation for putting people over profits and always doing what's best. Do not hesitate to email PKA Insurance and his team today.
They will help you get the insurance you need with the service you deserve.
All right. Well, I am super excited to have a new guest on the podcast. We have with us Dr. Kayla Marshall, and she is one of our clients from Negotiate Like a Boss Accelerator and also our Boost program. So, Kayla, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Please take a moment to introduce yourself to the audience.
Thank you guys so much for having me amongst all the many thank yous. So, like you mentioned, I'm Kayla Nixon Marshall. I am a medical doctor and I have a master's degree in art history. And I've always considered myself an arts and health advocate and educator in that realm. So I work primarily in academic medicine. I do gynecologic surgery, working a lot with women's health disorders that are complex. And I teach a lot within the medical schools, within medical education, doing surgical education. And thanks to the results of this program, I've also begun using my art skills to do art consulting, which I'm sure I'll talk more with you all about.
Well, thank you so much for that introduction. And yes, we love working with you. Let's just say that. And we are super excited for all of your success and also for learning more about and hearing more about the business that you are starting and how that is impacting your life. All right. So I'm going to kick it off with the first question. Sorry, Alicia. So, Kayla, I am always curious why people start programs. So, if you don't mind just sharing your experience before starting the program, where were you in your negotiation journey and how did you feel about negotiating?
Before starting this program, I had never really done much education around negotiation. I think I had a background understanding that I should negotiate, but nobody had ever really taught me how to do that. And I also understood that the way that I approached negotiation, and similar to a lot of women and minorities, may not have always been the most effective. And so I was very interested in really getting some formal instruction about negotiation. In my predominant practice, which is in academic clinical medicine, I was feeling a lot of difficulty juggling a lot of the responsibilities, was starting to feel a sense of potential burnout and really wanted to be proactive about making some changes. And I had already been an avid listener to the Wealth Minded ND podcast and had been very just impressed with the amount of knowledge both of you have in finance and just balancing all of the resources that we have, time, energy, finances, etc. I felt like I could really trust the advice and the guidance that you all would provide through the program.
This is really, really helpful. Brittany's interested in what made you start. One of my interests is like what prevents people from starting or what kind of holds people back? Because I think that whenever you are prompted with the opportunity to invest in yourself in a new way, there can be some hesitancies there, right? Some things that will make you say, I don't know. But I'm interested in knowing what hesitancies did you have before joining and how do you feel about them now?
The biggest hesitancy I had was really just the unknown. I had never done a coaching program before. I really didn't understand all of the benefits. I think as I met with you both and learned about the program logistics and understood exactly what the scheduling and what it all would entail, it really became clear that it would be a valuable resource to me. Of course, the cost was something that I had to discuss, given that a lot of the education that you had shared was around finance. So I wanted to make sure that it was a responsible choice. Because I really could get a sense of the value of the program, it became clear that it was worth the cost.
Okay, so I just want to highlight what you said here, Kayla, because I think it is extremely valuable. And it's one of the things that I also consider when I'm making my decisions. One is like just from listening to the podcast, you're like, okay, I got to think about the financial implications because these are money doctors here, right? And so they would want me to understand the financial implications. And then after that consideration that the value of the program was greater than a cost. And I just really love that because sometimes we only make decisions based upon cost and we limit ourselves and we miss out on opportunities. So I just really love that you were able to make that appraisal. And can I say from my perspective that you don't regret it, but I want the people to hear from your mouth.
Absolutely not. I was just thinking as you were talking, like it is more than return the investment. Plus, I can even see the vision that the cost really will exponentially. I will see more and more with time, but already I felt really immediately in the program, particularly with being able to negotiate confidently, build confidence in both my ability to negotiate, but just by going through a lot of the listing of all the benefits that I'm bringing to my workplace and really understanding that just asking for fair compensation is not asking too much. I had a return on investment within the first couple of weeks of me starting the program. I've also shared similar tips with my partner, my family, and I can see some of the benefits in how they approach their workplace also. So it's really been an investment in me personally, particularly with my own personal confidence, my family, and I hope to continue sharing it with my community and my friends around me.
Yeah, no, this is great because I think that so often as doctors, because we're smart, we oftentimes think, well, I can figure it out on my own. And that can be in the realm of medicine or just any sort of thing in our personal lives. We're like, oh, I'm going to figure it out, right? We might be hesitant to pay someone to help us or show us how to do something because we think that we're smart and we can do it ourselves. And you certainly are smart and you could have gone to a negotiation table yourself. But it seems like one of the things that you're talking about is the fact that because you made the choice to invest in yourself, and to increase your skills in a particular area, you were able to really see a good value and a good benefit from that. And I think that's a lesson that all of us can take. Because even myself in other realms of my life, sometimes I'm like, ooh, do I really want to pay for this? Can I figure it out myself? And this is kind of like a reminder to me of saying, Leisha, sometimes it pays to just solicit help because it can help you collapse time. Maybe you could try to figure it out, but maybe it would take you a couple of tries in order for you to be successful. And it seems like through this program, you were able to be successful. And it seems like a little bit more than what you thought, which is a little kudos to us. It's nice to hear that, what you're teaching and what you're showing people how to do actually helps. I see you smiling over there. People that are listening to this can't see you smiling, but I can see it. I feel it.
Agreed. A lot of what you were saying, I think as medical doctors, we have a lot of skill sets that are transferable to finance and to business. And I don't think I fully understood just the breadth of what was possible. I really think that with you guys' guidance, it's really just opened up my mind to all the different things that I can do and really has encouraged me to just embrace all the skills and the passions that I have. That's part of what has really led to the confidence in being able to move forward in different arenas that I would have previously not maybe been as courageous to pursue.
All right. Well, I am curious because it seems like there has been tremendous benefit with building confidence, but also the impact that you're making, Kayla. Like you literally gave me warm fuzzies to hear that one, you sharing gems with your husband, right? We're elevating the family. Men are not the only people who can negotiate, right? And so it's like us owning it. Owning that this is something that I too can do. I don't have to be a statistic. I am capable of doing this. And not only am I capable, but I can share my knowledge to elevate and enhance my community. So that really gave me such warm fuzzy. So thank you for sharing that. I want to ask, was there a specific part of the curriculum or our strategy sessions that was a game changer for you? What was that moment you're like, oh yeah, I got to share this with somebody else because this one is good?
Particularly with the negotiation program, realizing that I wasn't asking for too much by asking for fair compensation. That was a particularly game changing thought. And similarly, I would say realizing how much fair compensation is tied to motivation and just our ability to perform our best. I think I mentioned just working in certain spaces that are prone to burnout. when you feel as if your compensation isn't really matching all of the gifts that you're bringing and all of the skills that you have gets not valued or appreciated in a really tangible way, it's hard to not let that impact your motivation to show up and perform. And so I think that understanding that I would really and truly work better if I felt like I was being treated fairly was a big game changer. And also understanding that by listing out and really seeing all of the different things that I was doing and all of the value that I was bringing to my workplace, I wasn't asking for too much by asking to be compensated, particularly with aligning what I was asking for with my national data benchmarks and really having the evidence to shore up the requests that we were making. And so those were some ideas that really helped adjust my mindset going into the negotiation conversations. And again, that proved really to tangibly lead to the results that I was able to achieve.
I love that. I don't think it's a crime to want to ensure that your compensation reflects the value that you bring. And then also realizing that you're doing yourself a disservice by not advocating for that. Because as you mentioned, right, you work better when you're paid well. And so if you can ensure that you're actually paid well and that your compensation matches your value, then you'll be more excited to go to work. You'll be more productive at work. You'll be more likely to go the extra mile at work, right? And I think for a lot of people, they know the what. They know what they want. They know what they deserve. What they struggle with is the how. How do I advocate for myself? How do I make sure that I'm able to get that? And it seems like those are some of the skills that you were able to learn and thankfully, get more money, which we love. So let's delve into that. What specific results have you achieved after applying what you learned? Like, are we talking higher salary, better benefits, improved confidence? What are some of the things, not to put words in your mouth, but what are some of the things that you've achieved after applying what you learned?
Yes. Well, I think the biggest was that I did get an increase in my salary of about $15,000 annually, which I was very excited about. And there was a lot of back and forth around that. So any increase at all, I think it would have been outside of expectations to some degree, but that was a huge win. And then as an academic surgeon, I was able to adjust my weekly template or scheduling parameters so that it can really optimize time spent in the OR and maybe limit some of the time that I feel like was taking away from being able to do surgeries. And again, that's the mainstay of what I do and the part of my job that I enjoy the most. So essentially, I was able to readjust my timelines with the clinic balance to allow for more time spent in the places that I actually enjoy being and to potentially just stay on top of the other like administrative workloads and the education roles that I'm also involved in. So between the two of those, I was very, very pleased. I also just think that it was really helpful for me to go through the practice of advocating for myself and really seeing tangibly, like listing out all the things that I was doing and just letting my employer and helping them understand from my perspective, like this is truly the value that I bring. And it may be cultural, it may be partly because of my gender and race and imposter syndrome. There's a lot of systemic issues, I think, that can play in and probably interpersonal issues that play into historically difficulty advocating for ourselves in the space that I work in. And I think that I just going through the practice of really laying it all out, letting my employer know and understanding that unless I tell them, how would they know? As opposed to just sort of waiting and doing the work on the back end and hoping that it gets recognized. I really think that that's a valuable piece that I hadn't embraced before. And that's the part that I think has really translated to, again, my husband, my family, just letting our employers know this is what we're actually doing and instead of waiting for them to sort of recognize it on their own.
Okay. So I just want to highlight here that you got a 400% return on your investment. I want to highlight that because sometimes we prefer to invest in other things. We might invest in a home. We might invest in a new bag. We might invest in the stock market. But we forget to invest in ourselves. And so, in the very short time of working with us, you got one of the greatest returns on your investment that is better than what the stock market could do, right? It's better than any cryptocurrency, it's better than any real estate investment. And so, I just really want to highlight that because we often don't think about putting money towards developing a skill as an investment that's going to return. And you've shown us that not only did you get the monetary, the numerical returns, but you also got those psychological returns. And this is just in 3 months, right? This is just in 3 months. So just imagine if you continue to compound, like these skills continue to compound time after time. So, anywho, I just wanted to highlight that because I think oftentimes we think about, oh, I shouldn't spend the money on this, I shouldn't spend the money on myself, but you definitely should because this is one of the greatest returns on your investment that you can achieve. So, speaking to all that you achieved, I just want to ask what surprised you most about the program?
That's a tough question only because there were so many things, and I would say pleasantly surprising in a positive way. There's a lot of surprises. It's hard to explain how just impressed I was with the amount of knowledge that the two of you were bringing into this program and just the organization and the structure and the accountability. The education was just really, really high quality. And I would say that that was surprising only because, again, I know both of you are trained physicians. You probably have some other education and background in these areas, but to know that your day-to-day work is in medicine, but finance and business, and you've been able to do this on the side at such a high quality level was extremely impressive to me. It really also helped build my trust and my own confidence in the fact that if I want to develop my skills into a business or into anything else that I'm doing at a high level, I've seen it modeled for me exceedingly well.
Oh, look at that. I am really happy for you, obviously. And I want to let this be a testament to people listening because you did not negotiate a new job. You negotiated your current job. And you didn't negotiate a job in private practice or with some large nonprofit slash whatever health system. You negotiated your job at an academic institution in this current climate where a lot of academic institutions are on hiring freezes and have budget concerns. And so that I think is really important because I think oftentimes as physicians, we think, oh, if I'm an academic physician, oh, if I'm already at my job, there's no way I can negotiate. You wouldn't believe the amount of physicians that I talk to who have been at a particular job for 5 years or 10 years and never gotten a raise. And I suspect it's because they're expecting their boss to come to them and say, we'd like to pay you more. But one of the things that you did and that we practiced was you advocating for yourself and you using some of these meetings with your boss to take the opportunity and say, you know what, I'm actually going to advocate for myself and I'm going to utilize some of these negotiation tactics that I learned in order to increase my odds of success. And so I'm just curious, like how our program and what you learned and our role play and all of those things sort of compared to any previous negotiation resources or training that you might have used in the past?
So true. An excellent question. I had really not practiced negotiating to the degree with which we had done in the program ever before. And I had probably talked through some mental scripts like, okay, I'm going to tell them this and this. And then the conversation, whatever I was offered, I was like, okay, I guess that's what I have to accept. But really understanding from my employer's perspective, what some of their motivations may be and practicing the conversation back and forth, understanding that it's really a process of working towards common ground in a sense. And I really felt the negotiation scripts that your program provided. It gave examples of if your employer comes back with this is a response that you can try. And this is another response if they say this. Though to that degree, I hadn't ever really gotten that granular, I would say, in the preparation. But then also just the opportunity to talk through it and to practice on one of our Zoom sessions. I think I've practiced it in some form with other family members and things where there's a level of comfort. Maybe they haven't yet been on the employer side to understand how to respond and keep me on my toes. And so I think both of those were particularly unique to this program that helped boost my confidence, really prepared me to go into the actual conversation ready to go.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, Kayla, I just want to say thank you Thank you for joining us today on this podcast. And also thank you for joining our program and sticking with it, because we can't do the work for you, right? You have to do the work yourself. And you showed up and you showed out and you were committed. And that is why you have tremendous results. Like, yes, we have the structure of the program. We gave you the template scripts. I don't want to undermine the value that we provided, but the real reason why you got the results is because you showed up and you did the work. So for any of our listeners who are enjoying where you are, but wanting change without making change, without taking action, you are choosing a lower pay. You are choosing a schedule that you don't love. You are choosing to sacrifice time with your family. And we have proof on the podcast, Dr. Kayla Marshall, that you can choose to do something different. You can take a different action and you can have more money, have more time, and have more opportunities, and you can share that impact with the world. So, Kayla, I just want to thank you. Thank you for being here. We love you, girl. And we can't wait to continue to hear the success that you have in the future.
Yes, thank you guys so much for the program. Thank you for offering this. Thank you for all that you're doing to educate physicians around finance, around advocating for themselves, and really and truly your impact to me personally. I know much further beyond this. I know it's going to be huge. Thank you.
All right. Well, now it is time for some fun money. Alicia, I got to have you go first, girl, because I'm Saver Brittany this month. So I got to think about how I've been spending my money.
Hey, I understand. I understand. It's so interesting. I talk a lot about travel. I know we have some episodes upcoming where we're going to delve into travel and credit card points and things like that. But I actually spent some fun money buying credit card points, which is kind of like, what? You can buy points? Yeah. So sometimes if you can't earn points, you can buy points. And it makes it worthwhile if you can redeem those points at a higher value than what you spent. Some of these luxury hotels can cost thousands of dollars a night. But when you purchase them with points, you can actually get a much better deal. And so I came out ahead by buying some of these points and then redeeming them for several night stays at some luxury hotels. And so I am usually not a luxury hotel person. I'm fine with just like a regular hotel, but I'd heard so many good things about some of the hotel properties that I've been eyeing that I thought, you know what, let me put myself in position to actually experience this. And so who knows, I might become a little luxury hotel snob in the future, but I spent my fun money buying some hotel points that I can utilize for a luxury stay.
I love that. Yeah. So you got to give us the tea. When that episode drops, this is going to be an add-on to my request that I submitted in that episode. Okay. So when I think about how we're spending our money right now is just kind of like how Kayla enrolled in our program. I have recently paid for and enrolled in a coaching program because there's a goal that I have, a strategy that I'll share in a couple of months once it's all said and done on this podcast. But I realized that, okay, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this. And if I have this goal and I want to achieve this goal, then I don't have the time to watch all the YouTube videos, make all the mistakes. I just need someone to help me along. I need to borrow someone else's experience, someone else's confidence. And that's what I'm doing. And I'm paying for it. And it's been really, really great. It's been really eye-opening to ask some of the questions that I need to get the answers and to know with confidence that I'm moving forward in the right direction. So that is how I'm spending my fun money, enrolling in coaching programs, investing in myself. And I hope that, like Kayla, I get 400 plus return on my investment. Okay. That's what we're aiming for, people. All right.
Well, I love that for you. I love that you're investing in yourself. And yes, let's encourage our audience to invest in themselves as well, whether it's a negotiation program, an entrepreneurship program, or whatever it is that you desire. One of the biggest things that really bothers people, especially as they get older and they start reflecting on their life, is regret. Right? It's the what ifs. What if I had invested in myself? What if I had started that business? What if I had advocated for myself and asked for that raise? And so you don't want to live with regret. We encourage you to really take the first step towards the life that you really do desire, whether that's, a coaching program or what may have you. And so I want to encourage you with that today. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you found this episode helpful. And as always, if you are interested in signing up for our Negotiate Like a Boss Accelerator, you can do so. Just click the link in the show notes. You can also send us an email if you have any questions. That's wealthmindedmd@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening. Please don't forget to leave us a good review, rate the podcast. When you do so, it helps other people find us. So thanks so much for everything. And we can't wait to come back to you again next week.
One of the most important things you can do is ensure you have long-term disability insurance. Long-term disability insurance secures your income if the unexpected happens and you are unable to work due to medical illness, chronic conditions, or an accident.
Unfortunately, all insurance agents aren't created equal.
Some of them are so focused on making a sale that they fail to reveal certain necessary information, tell you about discounts available, or clearly explain the process. Prati Botto and his team at PKA Insurance Group are different. They have a reputation of putting people over profits and always doing what's best.
If you need life insurance or disability insurance, reach out to Pradeep and his team today. They will help you get the insurance you need with the service you deserve. Hello, and thank you for listening to our podcast. And because of that, we have something for you, our Wealthy Minds Blueprint.
Have you ever thought to yourself, I wish I could be better with money? Do you want to start investing and saving for retirement, but keep delaying because you don't know where to start? Our Wealthy Minds Blueprint is here to help.
This guide will teach you what you didn't learn in your training, so you can stop being confused about money and start taking what we call wealthy-minded action.
We'll help you become a master of your finances and simplify investing so you can get started today. Take control of your financial future by downloading your free copy of the Wealthy Minds Blueprint now and start building the wealth you deserve.
Hello, everybody. It's me, Brooke. I'm recording a little disclaimer for my mommy, Dr. Brittany Halford, and her friend, Dr. Lisa Taylor. Just so you know, they're not financial advisors, tax professionals, lawyers, or financial planners. Everything you hear is for education and entertainment. It's not strict financial advice, you know? So use your best judgment, chat with a tax professional, and all those other people that you need to talk to. Thanks for tuning in today. Keep cruising on your journey to wealth and wellness. Bye-bye.